Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball figure news video, of course covering our bi-weekly Dragon Ball news. A video actually going up on a Sunday for the Dragon Ball news bi-weekly figure recap? What? I know, crazy. We are putting this video up today because we have a bunch of stuff to talk about, but of course, as you've seen by the title and the thumbnail, we have one big kahuna to talk about today. We're going to be saving him towards the end of the video, so stick around. We have some very interesting information about Dragon Ball figures past and future to cover today as well, so definitely look forward to that as we go through today's video. Of course, we are continuing off from May 1st, which was the last Dragon Ball figure news video with the Daima figures. I do apologize for no unboxing video last week. I just didn't have the time to do it, even though I know I have them recorded from the live, but we'll get those up eventually. Now, let's go ahead and continue off from last time. So obviously up here on dbzfigures.com they did not have this yet, but of course last time we talked about the Ichiban Kuji for the Dragon Ball Snap collection, which is very cool. Still no pre-order up for these, so we will definitely be keeping you posted over here on the channel for when we actually get pre-orders up for those. But for more info on these, go check out that last video that I did because that had all of the details. We did also talk about this in the last video, but I don't think that the pre-orders were up yet for the Dragon Stars figures for July. This, of course, being the Limit Breaker 4th Form Frieza, right? And the Dragon Stars Power Up Pack Super Saiyan Blue Goku, this guy being around 20 bucks. Again, this is like a 1 foot tall action figure. I don't think that these look that crazy for collectors, but as a thing that you could give a kid to play with, definitely a good option for just a giant Frieza figure. Big toys are always super memorable from childhood, so this is definitely a good one. And we have the Power Up Pack Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which is basically 29 bucks here. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Dragon Stars either. I think that the faces look kind of stinky. The articulation is okay. But again, for an action figure, fantastic. And I will say, for this particular pack, I may actually pick this up. And the reason why is because it comes with all of these different accessories. And I've seen accessory packs go for literally 30 bucks on their own with just this type of stuff in it. So honestly, getting some extra Kamehameha effects and especially that aura effect in there to put with the Super Saiyan Blue Goku that I have, honestly, I might grab this just to grab the accessories from it. This is also something that I don't think you necessarily need to pre-order because this stuff ends up being pretty common at local GameStop and Target stores. So I'm going to probably just, you know, walk on over to my Target and see if I can cop this guy right off the shelf because Dragon Stars are not that uncommon when it comes to that sort of thing. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Obviously, it says it's going to arrive in July. Moving on from that, we do have the jump calendar for May, right? Obviously, the jump calendar, hello friend, always tells us what's going to be releasing. So we have the Versus Omnibus Amazing, right? This is, of course, the Ichiban Kuji with the Piccolo protecting Gohan, as well as Raditz, Gohan jumping out, right? The Imperfect Cell and the Vegeta. So that is going to be releasing this month in Japan. It'll be very cool when we get to see some in-person pictures of that. Also, the Gigantic Series Baby, right? You guys probably remember us talking about this thing. Are the pre-orders still available? Yeah, they are. This thing is disgustingly priced. If it wasn't so high, right, I may actually grab that bad boy because it's such a cool figure. But this thing is going to be coming out this month, so it'll be cool to see. Don't worry, we'll get to Kami in a second. If we actually get some more pictures of him as well, the Fighters, huh? I don't think that this is supposed to be a Fighters one. I don't know why it's labeled that way. Is it say fight? Yeah, it doesn't say Fighters on the... Huh. I don't know why it's labeled that way. That's very strange. But anyway, Android 18, obviously the GX material one. We'll also see some IRL pictures of her actually in a little bit. And then, of course, the Solid Edgeworks Raccoon and the Solid Edgeworks Birder as well in Japan. I actually can't believe it. We're finally here at the time when our boy is going to release. I'm so excited to get my hands on this figure, man. We have the Super Saiyan God Goku SH Figuarts figure. Of course, I believe for those of us overseas, this figure will be dropping next month. Obviously, for Japan, they usually get this stuff a month earlier unless Bandai or Tamashii explicitly says that it's going to be a same-time release. And maybe you guys remember us talking about this from, oh my gosh, let's say 2023 of last year is when that article came out, of July, basically a year ago. I don't know if you remember me talking about this thing, but we went over this thing, the Prime, right, the Mega House, I believe. Yeah, the Prime 1 Studio Frieza, right? This thing that's super expensive, this giant Frieza statue, which is kind of crazy that it costs that much. But this thing is going to be finally releasing in Japan very, very soon. So I don't know if we'll actually see... actually, maybe it's not in Japan. It might not be exclusive to Japan in that regard. I'm not sure because I don't think it lists it here. Actually, wait, well, if it's on the Jump calendar, it has to be coming out in Japan because that's a Japanese exclusive thing. Yeah, okay. Regardless, though, I don't know if we'll actually see some pictures of this thing. Like, I genuinely have no idea if anybody will post pictures of it because I don't know if Japanese fans are into resin statues. Like, I swear that that's more of like a thing over here in the States that people are a lot more interested in. I don't know, though. I guess I have seen it from collectors who are outside of the US. I don't know. Really interesting though, but I hope that we actually do get to see some pictures of that because that would be pretty cool. We have a an update on the high grade Pilaf Gang. So you can see here that on Big Bad Toy Store they actually have this available for pre-order, which is pretty cool. I will say I think that this is definitely way more expensive than the listing on the JP Premium Bandai, because obviously this is not on the US Premium Bandai. It is still cool that Big Bad Toy Store gives you the ability to pick this up, albeit obviously for a increased price. By the way, still don't know how this works with the Pilaf Gang actually sitting in there, because like again the arms look articulated. Oh my gosh, I have one sip of water and I'm getting cooked, boys. You know, they do sit in there, right, as we saw from some of the images, but I still don't know how it works. Let's see. So the different peel-off machines, the arms must just come off because it only lists one of each of the Pilaf Gang members. Wait, box contents. Yeah, the machine and then the figure for each. Okay, hold on. So does it say in the description here? Parts. Okay, wait. The set includes tons of new features for the high-grade Dragon Ball series. In a first for the figure line, the Pilaf machine features movable parts that, of course, will allow you to filter freely, as well as you to mix and match parts so the Pilaf Gang can hop aboard. Okay, so yes, so you can take the arms off. Thank you, product description, for coming through. You can fuse parts together just like in the original series, combining parts. The Pilaf machine stands at an amazing 30 centimeters tall. Okay, so you can take off the arms for the Pilaf Gang members, and then that's how you put them on there. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, dude, what is this like sorcery they're using to make this work? I genuinely have no idea. Alright, so this with the Figuarts Zero Gohan, obviously that being the thumbnail, we're going to talk about that towards the end of the video, so I'm going to save that for then. We'll talk about the Dragon Ball Weekly News now and Kami, and we are also going to talk about the Goku vote towards the end of the video as well, so we'll save that for then. But for now, I think in terms of this Goku Day event thing as well, I don't think that there's anything figure related. Although this was pretty cool. They did actually make a real life version of Goku's jacket and Gohan's outfit from obviously like the, you know, countdown to the Cell games, which is pretty cool. And then obviously Dokkan and Legends, shout out to the boys. Unfortunately, nothing crazy for figures though, and obviously, except for this Goku vote, which again, we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Okay, so I guess we'll just kind of go down the list here. Dragon Ball Arise Kami was something that got announced. As you guys know, these Dragon Ball Arise figures are these super expensive, you know, like supposed to be kind of like hype beastie is the audience for these. You could have sworn it was already released when they launched Piccolo Daimao, but maybe I'm remembering this wrong. Yeah, so what's really interesting is that, as far as I know, Big Bad Toy Store doesn't have a listing up for this, because Shinra would have updated this listing of, you know, this, like, article with it. But here's what's interesting. We have this from Baggy here, and we have a comparison between them. So, the Arise, as you can see, Kami, comes with this little kid Goku that is blindfolded, which is obviously from him training, which is pretty cool. And in comparison, right, we have the Kami from that Dragon Ball Ichiban Kuji. Yeah, I gotta say, I definitely think that the sculpt work on this Kami looks a lot better than the sculpt work on this one. In fact, this thing kind of looks like a bootleg the more you look at the face. I gotta be honest. It looks like, I mean, I know Kami's an old guy, so he's supposed to look a little decrepit, but this looks like bootleg decrepit, not like old man decrepit like this one looks. And the crazy thing about this, by the way, is that the Kuji, obviously, we know the prices of these Ichiban Kuji figures by now, right? But with the Arise one, it's 30k yen. Now, it is a little bit bigger, but 30k yen, you know, usually translates to about 3 hundo, brothers. Let me look up what it exactly is right now. The currency exchange rate, wow, that's crazy. I know the yen to USD rate is kind of wild at the moment. It is $192.57 in USD for that amount of yen. Regardless, yeah, definitely not worth the price of just a little bit bigger, for sure. It is kind of interesting that they still, like, the thing that's so crazy about this is that they have to be selling, right? Because I swear we talk about this almost every single video with one of these Dragon Ball Arise figures where we're like, oh my gosh, they're so overpriced, yada, yada, yada. But they must be being purchased to be continuing being made, right? Like, surely. I don't know. It's just a very wild thing to me. But anyway, moving on from the Dragon Ball Arise Kami, which we are actually going to close the tabs for my bad boy. Hello, Baggy. In terms of the Dragon Ball Weekly News for May 6th, which was the last one, quite literally the only thing basically was the Pilaf Gang being shown off. So that was all that we had for that week. And again, we already did see them on the Big Bad Toy Store. And they did talk about the sizing and the modeling and the coloring. Unfortunately, right, like, yeah, they show that you can put them together like this. And they don't actually show how you do it either. They skip right over it, which kind of stinks. But they don't actually show them, like, going into the machines, which is what I was kind of hoping with this video. But, oh well. It is what it is. Alright. Well, with that being said, again, we are going to talk about the Figuarts Zero Gohan a little bit later in the video. So that is it for Dragon Ball figure stuff, because obviously the only other things here are the 2 pin things, and of course Dragon Ball Super Divers, which I'm sure you've heard is going to be replacing Super Dragon Ball Heroes. I always have to, like, check myself when I say SDBH, aka Super Dragon Ball Heroes, and Dragon Ball Superhero, because, man, those names are way too confusing. Regardless, though, thank you, DBZ Figures, for always holding it down with the fantastic news. And don't worry, we will be back to this majestic figure right here in a little bit. We got to get through some other stuff first. But before we get to Gohan, let's go ahead and take a look at everything that we have. So we have some very interesting figure news today in terms of some of the logistics of figure stuff, as well as some updates on some already pre-existing figures. So when it comes to the GX Materia line, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, is the Dragon Ball figure line where they have these kind of effects on them, right? Went back and checked, and from Raccoon onwards, they charge the maximum allowance, but the figure itself was still small in scale, so we can no longer infer scale of GX Materia based on the price. Also, this probably explains why the GX Materia orders have dropped. If you're unfamiliar what this means, basically the Crane Game, places in Japan that order these figures, right? The, distributor who is allowed to charge whatever amount that they, want to excuse me, to charge for, right, the actual, like, Crane Game places getting their hands on the figures. It seems that the maximum amount, I can't speak apparently. Oh my gosh, I'm falling apart, bro. The maximum amount that they are allowed to charge, right? That's what they're charging now. So obviously, especially for such a small figure, they would much rather have some other figures in there, right? And so ending up with, you know, less figures ordered, and that's why, you know, the numbers go down. So it's interesting, though, that that seems to be the case. I don't know what Bandai's doing, bro. I swear they're making all these moves that, like, to me, I'm like, dude, there's such easy solutions for all of these things. Like, you know, charge less, you know, because you'll make more in the long run. And, you know, don't be making these silly decisions. Make the figures bigger. I don't know, man. I need to work for Bandai, I swear. This was something that I just wanted to throw in here. Obviously, in last week's video, we talked about the fact we were going to be getting the Matchmakers Gogeta versus Janemba, which is very, very exciting, right? Obviously, more Gogeta figures, always welcome. But, of course, Janemba is definitely going to be the most exciting, I think. But it'll be interesting to see, right? Obviously, for Gogeta, there's a bunch of different poses that they could pick for the boy. So it'll be interesting to see. It would be kind of crazy if they did this to recreate this art piece, because this is such an iconic piece of Dragon Ball art. This would be so cool, but I feel like it would be weird to have the figure of Janemba getting defeated almost, like, and then selling that on its own, right? Because obviously you buy these as two separate figures. I feel like that would be a little bit weird. So maybe they do the Gogeta kick and then something else. That would be pretty cool. With the kick for Gogeta and then Janemba catching it, that would be kind of sick. But yeah, they could definitely do some stuff from Dokkan too, right? Obviously, they've done STR Gogeta in the past, but they could definitely do this, or obviously this, you know, is one of the wallpapers from Dokkan. I love this piece of art, so they could definitely do that. And yeah, funny enough, they actually have done this pose before, which is this piece of art right here from an older figure. But anyhow, just thought this was interesting to bring up as some ideas. I honestly would kind of love if this was the case, even though it is Janemba getting defeated. But I think in terms of having them both fight each other, I think this pose would make the most sense for Janemba. I mean, I don't know if it would really make the most sense in tandem with the kick, but I think this would be fantastic to have both of them like this. And then you could recreate this Dokkan art. Ooh, cooking, baby, cooking. Alright, so some unfortunate news that we did cover last time. The Relivable Moment Prize B is unfortunately not going to be coming out in the US as a Ichiban Show listing. We talked about this in the last video, that for some reason this figure just so happened to be not a part of the lineup for what the US was going to be getting. Now here is what's really interesting about this. We got a little bit of an update on this figure here. Baggy said that he is still investigating, but a theory that he has is that maybe they are retailer exclusive because a SKU number still exists for the Elo Angel Goku, and for Goku and Vegeta, the SKU from Goku versus Piccolo and Goku versus Frieza skips, leaving space for Goku and Vegeta. Obviously, he's talking about here Goku versus Piccolo being from the same Ichiban Kuji and Goku versus Frieza, right? So it's like that there should be a number in between there for Goku and Vegeta, but there's just not one at the moment. And he's talking about the fact that, yeah, I could get a lot of information, but if something is retailer or game station exclusive in Japan, that's going to be impossible to get. So TLDR, what this basically means, right, in layman's terms, is that these figures could still be getting a release somehow in more of a meaningful way. But it could be the fact that they're going to be exclusive to one retailer or one store, right? I know we talked about that with Angel Goku saying that. I know Baggy was like, yeah, people in the US, look out to see if, you know, some store will get this guy as an exclusive in the summertime or something like that. I believe that was the tweet anyway. The tweet was from a while ago, so I don't remember it off the top of my head. But basically, these guys could end up being exclusive to some store. So if Baggy's able to find that information out, or if you somehow find that information out, please let me know in the comment section below, because not only do I want these figures, but also it would just be good to know for the figure collecting community. Alright, so here's that Android 18 in person. I think that she turned out really, really good, right? Obviously, the GX Materia figures usually turn out pretty good, but this is cool, right? Obviously, this is a very interesting pose. Her head kind of looks a little funny because it's like craned forward, but obviously it's because of the pose that she's in, right? Throwing the Destructo disc. And by the way, what is really interesting about this figure, and again, I talk about the coloring on the production images for these figures all the time. Yeah, here you go. Here is a comparison, right? The GX Materia 18 final jeans is definitely lighter as per the final production images compared to the original production images, right? So the original one is the one on the left, and the newer one that got updated recently is the one on the right. That's why I'm saying, bro, you can never trust these production images to be what the exact final product will look like, because this is, for the first one, right, so much more washed out than the final one, right? It looks a lot more like darker navy blue on the pants, and even 18's hair looks a lot more of a mustard color, whereas in the final one it looks a lot more just like yellow, and the jeans look actually like jeans. So man, always so funny to see this type of stuff, because I swear they just never can get it exactly like the first production images. But I guess it's probably a better thing, because I think the colors on the final version look a lot better than what they were, whatever they were doing on the first one. But anyhow, this was pretty interesting. So the August Dragon Ball item Gashapon number 5 that we talked about last time has been listed for Italy and thus Europe for the end of this year. Nothing, no high grade, but we get this, of course. People are right. They probably just throw darts at a dartboard in deciding what to really swear. Yeah, because it's so strange that they, you know, just kind of decide these random things. And they're like, yep, all right, that's what we're doing. It's so weird, man. But anyway, speaking of which, as you can see, August DB Gashapon low quality scan for the item Volume 5. The Scouter 4-star ball in Episode 1 Shinron model, which glows in the dark, it seems, in Saiyan armor and Cyberman seeds. Thankfully, we do have a little bit of a better image of this. It's not great, but it's there. So, as you can see, right, let's take a look through this. So, this is the Cyberman seeds. This is the glow-in-the-dark Shinron statue, right? This is the Saiyan armor. You can see the shoulder pads there if you really look closely. Oh, no, wait, are those the Cyberman seeds? Wait, hold on. Let me look at this. Scouter. Okay, so the Scouter. Oh, the Scouter's right there. Okay, the Scouter is above Nappa, right? You can make out the Scouter there. I don't know what that little green thing is in the background, though. That's kind of interesting. The 4-star ball from Episode 1, so that's got to be what's under Kid Goku right there in the top left corner. The Shinron model, right, which we can see towards the bottom there, right, with the glow-in-the-dark, next to the Cyberman seeds that's under Nappa. Interesting that the Saiyan armor doesn't really have a picture under it. Well, we'll get to see this in more detail later on, because obviously right now we just have the low-quality scans, So this was also pretty interesting too. Despite just under 1,000 orders at 960, highest this year for Dragon Ball, the History Box Gohan market value managed to hold itself more compared to Ultimate Gohan, which only had 286 orders. Cell Art Gohan is without a doubt the most popular Dragon Ball character in Japan. Yeah, it's kind of crazy the popularity of Gohan, to be honest. This is wild that, you know, this figure right here has really held its value despite the high grade line 2 being so small, right? Very, very interesting. Okay, so this is what I was talking about in terms of the past for Ichiban Kuji when it comes to figure news. So Baggy thinks he discovered why Bandai started messing about with the Ichiban show prices. You guys probably remember a couple years ago, I even made some videos about like what is going on with Ichiban Kuji, where they were just making these prices absolutely disgusting, ludicrous prices, right? So basically, nowadays, they send out Ichiban show listings to retailers directly before they send them to distributors like they do prize figures like the Saiyan Arc Kuji below. Limited overseas, right? You can see that obviously giving all the details, right? Giving the price that it should be, $36, right? All rights reserved. Confirm your distributor for price. So basically, funny enough, I asked Baggy because I didn't really understand what this meant at first. He said, I'm not too sure, but guessing for distributors, it's got to be a set price or something like how prize figures are 24 to 27, you know, the retail price via distributors. Yet on Premium Bandai, directly from Bandai, they sell the same figures for $30 to $40, right? If you notice, actually here, let's even go to, I'll pull up a new tab and we'll go to Premium Bandai real quick. For Premium Bandai, when it comes to these figures, right, you guys know that for basically every retailer, right, the way that they sell prize figures is that they do it by Obviously having the price be the $27.99 price tag, right? That is what they always do for these prize figures, at least in the modern day, right? Before, obviously they were 20 bucks and then they went up to like 21 or something like that. And nowadays they are the $27.99 price tag, right? If I grab just like a random prize figure here, I'm trying to find one on the other tab, I'm sorry. Here we go. This guy, right? The Matchmaker's Goku, right? If we take a look at this figure here, this obviously being in stock at the Big Bad Toy Store, right? The standard price for this guy is, of course, the $26.99 price tag, right? That is what prize figures are priced at nowadays. However, if we take a look at Premium Bandai here, right, and obviously some of these are SH Figuarts, so let's look at an actual prize figure. We'll use this guy, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who is coming out later this year. They charge $30, right, which doesn't seem like a big difference. To be fair, if you're buying a lot of figures, it is a big difference, because if you're buying like 5 figures at once, it adds up to be a whole nother figure. But you know, the point of this being is that obviously, right, when Baggy was talking about this, right, basically the distributors, it has to be a set price, but because it's from Bandai, they can basically just charge whatever they want. Baggy used this as a good example, right? Let's take a look at the Grandisa Zoro, for example. For example, via distributor, Bandai set it at the standard US, right? This is the retail. I forget what this RRP stands for, what the exact wording of it. It's like retail recommended price. I guess I remembered. Go me. Of $27, right? Yet on Premium Bandai, directly from Bandai, they're charging $40. Holy cow. It seems that they have more control of what they want to charge when listing things directly compared to via the distributor. So that is really, really interesting. I do wonder if that will kind of, I don't know, give us any clues or anything as to the future of some ways that they're going to be pricing these figures and stuff like that. I just think that it's an interesting piece of information to know, because obviously, right, when it comes down to it, it makes sense, I suppose, that Bandai directly then could charge more, but that just feels so scummy. Like, I know I've talked about for literal years that Bandai, I hate to say it, you know, I like their products, but man, they are a real scummy company, and this just goes to prove it even more for me. The fact that they're like, oh, well, you know, you guys, you'll sell it for cheaper, but us, right from the source, right, we're gonna, you know, price it even more, which also, like, doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you not want to be charging it the lowest? Because people aren't gonna come to you if you're charging more. I don't know, it's such a weird thing, but either way, I thought that this information was, whoa, Twitter is glitching on the side there. I thought that that was very interesting information to include. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily answer the question as to why, you know, the Kuji figures in terms of, like, even stuff that obviously gets from the distributor gets raised in price. But for some of these price changes and, you know, wild shenanigans they got going on, I thought this was an interesting piece of information to include in this video. So, who knows? Maybe we'll be coming back to this tweet in the future to kind of talk about this again, because obviously it'll be interesting. So unfortunately, this was the only picture of Raccoon that I saw. Obviously, we talked about that he released recently in Japan, and though I will say he turned out really good, honestly, for obviously the picture that is here. I don't really see anything too crazy wrong with him. His face looks a little bit like very, I don't know, like chiseled, but I guess that fits Raccoon, because obviously Raccoon is a super buff guy. So yeah, I think this figure turned out pretty good, actually. And speaking of the Ginyu Force, right, obviously, oh wait, hold on, I know I have it somewhere here. Yeah, here we go, Birder. So Birder did release, I know that Baggy's tweet here is talking a little bit about how, yeah, this is kind of a crazy price discrepancy, to be honest with you. Yeah, bro, wasn't expecting it to be this tall compared to the Kuji, or this small, rather. It kind of stinks too, yeah, because obviously the modeling and the characters look really good for this Ginyu Force set, but of course, man, look at the discrepancy in size there. That is just crazy. Obviously, for me, right, I am somebody who doesn't really mind having figures in various sizes. I mean, it kind of just looks better on the shelf having the bigger figures in the back and the smaller figures on the front. But man, think about the fact that, like, this Birder right here was around, let me see if I can actually get the price up again. I believe he was like around like 45, 50 bucks or something like that. And the prize figure for that Birder, right, obviously the one on the left, is, you know, 27.99, right? So, okay, on Big Bad Toy Store right now, he's 83 bucks, but I don't remember if that was the actual original price of this guy for the pre-orders. Regardless, though, I don't think it was. I think it was a little bit cheaper than that, but still, my point still stands. Like, I think that even though the Kuji figures have been, you know, going up in price, and some of them are honestly pretty ridiculous for how much they upcharge these nowadays, I think that you are getting a little bit more bang for your buck most of the time because, man, this is just so small. I mean, there are prize figures out there that are still a decent, you know, size for the same price, but it just makes it like the smaller ones just then feel so much more of a letdown, to be honest with you. But anyhow, this was something else interesting about the relivable moment Kuji that obviously we talked about in previous videos. In some better news, the Dragon Ball History official description does imply it might not be a one-off, as it talks about relivable moment being a new thing for Dragon Ball, etc. You know, why advertise that fact if they're not planning on doing more? So hopefully that means good things for the future, because obviously everybody really, really likes this Ichiban Kuji as far as I've seen. So hopefully that means we'll get more figures like this in the future. Our final thing before we talk about Gohan and then the voting towards the end. These game station numbers are very important over the years. When able to deduce what characters and lines will continue or not based on the order numbers. It is kind of crazy, yeah. So obviously, that's why I always like to bring up the game station numbers in my videos and stuff like that, because obviously these numbers can give us some insight as to different things that obviously will be going on for the future of Dragon Ball, right? Like with the WCD. I still want this little Goku and Frieza because they're really cool. I wouldn't, Volume 3 I assumed wouldn't do well due to the ratio. Namco didn't order a single case. Taito ordered as expected, but Sega ordered more than I thought. Volume 4 will probably be an anomaly due to Broly and Gogeta, so I don't know if Bandai will keep these around. And they didn't. This line actually ended soon after, which is what Baggy was talking about here. Obviously, the tweet being from 2019, which is crazy. But yeah, this is the reason why I include numbers and stuff like that in terms of orders from Japan, because it tells us what figure lines and characters and stuff like that will continue. So just wanted to throw that piece of information in there. I always like to keep you guys informed. All right. Time to talk about the big boy of this video, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. We still got some stuff after this, but I want to talk about Gohan. So we have the Figuarts Zero Super Saiyan 2 Gohan versus Cell Juniors. That is right. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the information that we have for these guys. So, oh, he looks so good, dude. Oh, my gosh. I love the sculpt on Gohan. Look at that super spiky Super Saiyan 2 hair. Holy cow, this is insane looking, if I do say so myself. Dang, they cooked. Look at the sculpt. Ooh! Man, they cooked so hard on this figure, bro. Figuarts Zero, man. There's just something so special about it. It's a figure line that's been near and dear to my heart for a really long time. Even though the line has gotten a little bit smaller and a little bit more expensive over the years, I still really love this line. It's definitely one of my favorites for sure. But, right, obviously Baggy mentions here that, like I said, most popular version of a Dragon Ball character, expect this to fly off the shelves even for the 13k yen price tag. Definitely looks like Nakazawa's work too. Yes, the GOAT. We love Nakazawa. The reason why, by the way, that it's able to be told or able to tell, I don't know how you would actually say that. The reason why we know it's Nakazawa, who is, if you're unfamiliar, a figure sculptor who has been in the game for a really, really long time. He basically sculpts ears in a certain way. I know that's kind of funny, but that's how we're able to tell. And with the way the Gohan's ears look, it definitely looks similar to his previous work. So that is pretty cool. Here is a special production images for this guy, or image rather. Holy cow, dude, actually crazy looking. I love the effects that they added to this too. It's interesting as well that obviously the figure looks so far into the ground, but then if we go back and look at this original image, right, you can see that this base is super big, and then there's the dust effects, right, but then it's like almost buried in the ground. Apparently for Europe, it is 90 euros, so that is pretty cool. For Finland, though, apparently it's 120. Yeah, that is a little yikes. Could be a case of differing prices across Europe. So here's the interesting price, or the interesting thing about this guy. We'll look at that page in a second. So this is what's really interesting here, to be honest with you, in terms of the US price for this guy. The price confirmed to be $120 MSRP. And to make matters worse, these were the highest quality production image they sent out. They didn't send out the 4K images, unfortunately. That angle is really cool. I really like the angles because they're showing off Gohan's face at different, like, you know, well, angles, I guess. But it looks good from all angles. Like, this one looks really good. This one looks fantastic looking at it like this, right? Super cool stuff here. But what's really interesting too, is that if we go here, right, as you can see, this is the packaging. Just wanted to throw this in the video. It's probably going to be around the usual size for the Figuarts Zero packaging because they kind of keep the boxes the same. But so what is really interesting about this guy, in terms of, actually, before we look at this, and I say the final thing that is sort of a little bit of the kicker before we see some in-person images of this guy, is in terms of that packaging size thing. We're here, right? The packaging size more or less confirms that the Figuarts Zero Gohan is going to be small, unfortunately. It's probably going to be another Beast situation where the actual figure scale is going to be really small. Figuarts Zero Beast here, the official height was listed to be bigger than the Ichiban Kuji. That's right. So obviously, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Figuarts Zero Gohan Beast. I even did a video on this on my channel. And it is kind of crazy because this guy right here, the Ichiban Kuji one, was supposed to be, according to the listing, smaller than the Figuarts Zero one. And you can see that that is definitely not the case. That's why I always say, do not trust the sizes of these figures from Bandai because they never actually pull through on the sizes. As you can see here, right? They literally just basically straight up lied. Like, I don't want to call it that, but I don't really know what else to call it when they tell you one thing and then the result is something different. But regardless, what that tells us about this Gohan is that the size is probably going to be smaller because obviously it's similar to Gohan's sizing, this Gohan, right, the Gohan Beast. So that means it is probably going to be around his size, which will also mean that Gohan will probably be even smaller because obviously this is Kid Gohan and this is Adult Gohan. So that's kind of interesting too. By the way, something else pretty interesting to note about these is that the Gohan production images were taken on April 19th, which is really interesting because I think Baggy can look at the images metadata and then be able to tell that. So what is interesting about these two is that if you take a note, Cell Jr. spots, right, are sculpted and not painted for some of these, right? You can see that it's kind of like faded towards the middle. The expression of Gohan is good, hair is good, and especially the back, not too many back end spikes, and that's Cell Jr. regretting everything. Yeah, so very interesting that these are pretty fresh in terms of what the, you know, like most current look or I guess version of this figure is if they were only taken on April 19th, basically like a month ago. Pretty interesting. Yeah, and this is something that is kind of stinky, I will admit. Yeah, you can see that this guy, right, listed for the listed size, right, is 20 centimeters. And this JJK figure right here, obviously being 23 with all of this sculpting and modeling. And it's kind of crazy because this is a prize figure, so of course it's going to be more around the prize figure price of, you know, like that $30 mark. Or of course, you know, if you're going to a crane machine, you just win it, right? But this guy is, yeah, 120, which is insane, right? It is honestly super wild that Bandai has just been getting away with this for so long when obviously we have people like Sega doing stuff like this for literally like, what, 4 times less the price? 3 times less the price? Something like that? Actually kind of crazy. I'm not going to hold you. So what else is really interesting, right? I figured I would pull up the Tamashii Nation's Japanese page for this guy before we get to the unfortunate fact of this guy at the moment. But when it comes down to it, this figure obviously looks super good, right? I'm really, really excited that this is what they chose for the next Figuarts Zero figure. I think they must know that, like, Gohan is just absolutely popping in Japan right now, right? Like, there's no way that they, you know, don't realize that this figure, or this character, right? Obviously, this version of the character is just one of the most, you know, popular at the moment because, dude, like, with how much even just the history box Gohan sold, it will not surprise me if this figure actually sells out. Like, being 100% honest with you, I definitely would not be surprised if that is the case. Now, I will tell you, the only unfortunate thing about this guy, before we look at some in-person pictures that we got of this guy, actually. Oh, man. So, in terms of the US, right, obviously for pre-ordering this guy, I do have a little bit of unfortunate news for you. So, when it comes down to it, obviously we've been talking about throughout this video, right, that of course the, price for this guy is going to be like 13,000 yen, right, and obviously the USD price for this guy should be 120 bucks. Now, if we go to here, right, which is obviously the page on the dbzfigures.com website, apparently Big Bad Toy Store, and I know Baggy made a tweet about this as well, but I figured I'd just discuss this here on this page. They just decided to charge 10 more bucks. Like, they're not, they're not doing the MSRP, which is kind of funny considering we were just talking about, the fact that obviously, right, like usually the distributors and that whole thing. But yeah, it seems like they literally are just charging $10 more, which is kind of scummy, to be honest with you, because I don't think this is one of those things where they need to charge 10 more bucks. Like, when it comes to some other things, right, that is like a Japanese exclusive thing, it makes more sense because obviously, right, when it comes down to it, they have to charge it because they have to bring it overseas, right, because there's no like overseas distribution for the figure. But as far as I'm aware, this is literally just not the case for this guy, so it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you, that they decided to do this. I know it's only 10 bucks, it's not the craziest deal in the world, but it still kind of feels like, man, come on, bro. So what I would recommend doing, right, because I have not actually seen pre-orders go up for this guy anywhere else, actually. I even double checked Amazon just to see, right, just to see if I could find it anywhere, and I have not been able to find pre-orders for this figure anywhere else. So what I would recommend doing at the moment is probably just pre-order this guy here at Premium Bandai, and then, or at Premium Bandai, at Big Bad Toy Store, right? I did check Premium Bandai, by the way, just to see, and no, they don't have the figure either. But you could pre-order this guy here, right? And then you can also just cancel your pre-order at a later date, right? If that is really what you want to do, you could always just do that, right? That is certainly an option for you, because the nice thing about Big Bad Toy Store is that as long as you cancel the pre-order before the figure actually releases, you could always just do that. So that is definitely not a bad option, right? That is definitely something that you should keep on the table for sure. I do know that there are certainly some other places that are figure distributors that should have this figure. Right now, I'm pulling up a couple of them just to kind of show you some different things here, right? We have eNight Media, which is a site that I have used before. I don't know why this is stuck there. I was trying to get that little thing off of there. Yeah, there we go. As you can see here, right, their like price for the MSRP, right, is that $120 mark, but they're charging a little bit a little bit less. Oh my gosh, tongue twister, hello, with the 106 mark. Now, I actually used to get figures from eNight Media all the time. They used to actually be my main source of figures, to be honest with you, because they always had these small little price cuts, which was something that obviously is like, well, dang, of course I'm going to get it from here then, hello. But unfortunately, they kind of kill you on the shipping a little bit nowadays, because, right, before, the shipping used to be like, oh, if you put a bunch of items together, there was like free shipping, but every time that I have bought a figure from them in recent time, because they don't, this is one of those sites that they don't tell you the shipping until after, like, the figure is basically, like, being put out to you and you have to pay for it. And I've always got charged extra shipping. Now, I know here it does say free standard shipping within the US, right? So I am assuming that if that is the case and it says that that is true. However, I feel like when I've had that be the case where I have paid for not paid for items, I pre-ordered items, and then when I get charged for them, I end up still getting charged for some shipping fee. That has happened before to me on this website. If you want to go for it, you could definitely still try it. Obviously, I'm just trying to give you some different, I'm just trying to give you some different options, basically, as to some places you could pre-order it as well. Another place that I used to get figures from all the time, with that being Tokyo Otaku Mode. I know it's funny because they also have it listed for 102, but this is if you are basically a part of their, like, premium members plan, essentially, where you basically have to pay either monthly or yearly to be a part of this to then get figure discounts. Something that I also did at one point, but then funny enough, their shipping got upcharged like crazy, and so then I, stopped paying for the premium for them. So their actual regular price, if you just want to buy the figure from them, is 120 bucks, which again is MSRP. And I don't know how much the shipping will be on this. It will definitely be not free. I'm telling you that right now. So either way, you could also definitely wait to see if Amazon gets this too, because I know when it comes to the Figuarts Zero figures, they have a ton of them up there on Amazon, and they usually do get them. And Amazon, I feel like when it comes to Bandai figures, is kind of late most of the time when it comes to listing this sort of stuff. So don't be surprised if that pops up eventually. You could always just wait a little bit, right? Again, like I said, the nice thing about a lot of these sites is that with a pre-order, you could put the pre-order in there, and then as long as you remember to cancel the pre-order, right, you could still cancel it at a later date. So definitely some decent options for you there. Now, moving on from all of these shenanigans, of course, we do have some in-person pictures of this guy from the Tamashii Nations Tokyo store, I believe is where these were taken. This is from the actual JP Tamashii Nations account. Dude, holy cow, this thing looks awesome. This is so cool. This is a little bit of a close-up for you. Man, this thing looks amazing. This is so cool. I love the little Cell Jr. in the background. So funny, man. We also have a picture from this individual. I don't know who this is, but I'm assuming this is somebody who lives in Japan, or somebody who is visiting at least. And as you can see here, yeah, unfortunately this is a JP Premium Bandai item, but I can't look at it because every time you try and go on JP Premium Bandai, it gives you this error message. And I even tried to use a VPN and it still wouldn't let me in, so I don't know. Regardless, though, here's a close-up of the face. Man, the modeling on this thing is so good. It's interesting, too, that the eyebrows have a little bit of, like, that gold shine to them, right? In comparison where the hair really doesn't. There's the Cell Jr. getting schmacked. That is a really, really cool angle, if I do say so myself. Yeah, definitely they cooked on this guy, for sure. I think they did a fantastic job on this figure. I definitely cannot wait to get my hands on this guy. The only unfortunate thing about this guy, and by the way, you can see that this is probably the one from the pictures, because some of those dots on Cell Jr. look like they're maybe not painted there as well in the background one. But if we go back to here, right, you can see that for Big Bad Toy Store, it says that January 2023, or 2023, oh my gosh, we're going back in time. 2025 is when this guy is going to come out. I know on E-Night Media, they say, let's see here, estimated release date, February 28th, right? And funny enough, on Tokyo Otaku Mode, they say March, literally going down the months. Either way, the first quarter of 2025 is when this guy is going to be dropping. So hopefully you guys are excited for this figure. I know I most certainly am, right? This is such a cool figure. And again, I am a big fan of these Figuarts Zero figures, so I definitely will be getting this guy for sure. I am really, really hoping that when we get this guy, he is going to look as good as he does on these final images. Obviously, when it came to Gohan Beast, right, we did see that the production images originally were a little bit different than what we got for the finals, so I'm hoping that they do look as good. I mean, man, if the figure already looks this good in person, right, at like the display showcase in the store, then I'm thinking that we'll probably be just fine. All right. So, the final thing that we have for official news before we go on to the little bit of third party at the end of today's video is the Goku's Best Fight poll for Goku Day. On Thursday, May 9th, the official site launched a series of campaigns in celebration of Goku Day. May 9th reads phonetically as Goku in Japanese. The first campaign is to select your favorite Goku fight based on the 4 timelines they created for each category. Users can select the best fight, and just like last year, the top selection will be turned into a product. So here's what's really interesting about this. Let's go ahead and actually look at this on the official website here, right? If we take a look, this is a pretty cool little graphic as well. May 9th is Goku Day. To celebrate, we're holding a poll to determine Goku's best bout. That's pretty cool. Naturally, Goku's battles with Vegeta, Frieza, and the like are included. We've even added Goku's face-off against the boulder destroyed during training in the epic rock paper scissors competition during Yajirobe. Interesting. Definition of battle: verbal sparring or rock paper scissors count as long as Goku enters the contest with the spirit of battle. Battles against inorganic foes also account. However, rocks whose destruction is merely a casualty of another fight do not count. Start of the fight until fighting stops counts as one battle. Characters who Goku fights more than once are included in the lineup as many times as they fought Goku. There are 165 battles in the total lineup. Really? That's crazy. Please vote in the 4 articles that list battles in the order they happen in the story. Don't forget to vote for your favorites. You can vote once per day until, wow, Friday, May 31st. Okay, so let's read the information under that before we click on these polls. The battle voted number 1 out of all of the 165 in the lineup will be made into merchandise. So if you guys remember, we talked about this in a previous video, actually. Let me go ahead and actually pull this up real quick. When it comes to the one that they had last year, you probably remember that they did it for Piccolo Day rather than Goku Day. And this Piccolo figure right here, right, the one where he's protecting Gohan, is actually the piece of merch that ended up being made because of the favorite scene that the fans chose from Piccolo. So this is going to be a similar thing, right, where obviously we then get whatever battle wins this vote as a figure in the future. So that is going to be very, very exciting. We hope to announce further details here on the official site sometime during the summer of 2024. There's also a special event running on the X account, post about which Goku fight left the biggest impression on you, and we might talk about your post on the official site. So that's pretty cool. So if you want to participate in that, obviously I assume for most of you you're probably in the English speaking audience, so you could definitely go hit up the obviously, right, the official Twitter and interact with this. I'm not even sure where that post is, to be honest with you. Here's the best poll thing. I will actually, I'm gonna heart that to send that to myself later to make a tweet about that on the Dokkan Assets account. But regardless, let's go ahead and actually take a look at these polls here. So I will say the interesting thing about these, right, is that they separate these into, like, basically the sagas, right? So we're holding a pose. First, check out the summary article. In this article, we've assembled the lineup of Goku's battles starting from his very first opponent, a tree stump, all the way to the final battles of the 21st Budokai Tenkaichi. So you basically get to vote from each saga, right? Oh my gosh, they include Bulma's car as a fight? That's so funny. Okay, so yeah, so they have a bunch of wacky stuff in here, right? As you can see, right? Some stuff that, like, actually, you know, is like what you would consider, you know, like really fights. Like 3 bricks, bro. It is kind of funny, right? I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of fun. I would rather them do something like this than, like, you know, be like, oh, you know, we have to really restrict it or something like that. I don't know. I think it's a lot more fun to do stuff like this. Because, I mean, like, it's pretty obvious that, like, you know, Goku versus Tree Stump is not going to win the poll, you know? But when it comes down to it, obviously, we have a bunch of different options here, right, for, of course, what we could pick. I think, personally, where is Goku versus Krillin is definitely a good option. I don't see Goku versus Tien. Is that because that would be for the next one? Oh, yeah, that would be for the next one, right, because this is until the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. Okay. So, you know what, bro? Just for the sake of it, I'm going to pick Goku versus Krillin, because I think that'd be cool. We'll do that one. Or, oh, but Namu's there too, and so is Jackie Chun. Funny enough, I literally have this Jackie Chun figure on my desk. All right, well, I can vote once a day until the 31st, so we'll just do this. So when we submit, okay, so it just goes to the bottom. Oh, vote here. Thank you for your answer. Okay, so I guess it just goes to the bottom and then it shows you the comments. Interesting. You guys better vote for the prison wall. 3 bricks better win. Giant fish. I'm glad people are having a good time with this. I will say that is pretty funny. Yeah, Jackie Chun was the best of the poll. Yeah, I'm glad people are having a good time with this. Interesting that this is a Japanese comment on the English one, because there's literally a Japanese version of this website with the same poll. I don't know. That's interesting. All right, either way, let's move on to the next one. So obviously, as you can see here, this is from the 21st World Tournament to the, let's see, let's go all the way to the bottom, right? Is this, yeah, okay. Demon King Piccolo is the last thing here after Goku recovered his strength. I'm gonna vote for versus Tien because I love this fight so much. But obviously, there's so many. Oh, Grandpa Gohan is there too, though. There's so many good things, obviously, that you could pick. It's interesting that they separate Dragon Ball like this into these separate things. But yeah, I'm gonna vote for Tien. And then if we go back here, so let's see. So this one and then this one, I'm gonna be very curious to see. So do they cram all of DBS into one thing? Yeah, so here, we have 6 more comments, right? Voting Ninja Murasaki, deleted comment, interesting, Grandpa Gohan, disrupt between Korin. Okay, interesting, interesting. So let's see, so this one is the number 3. Okay, so yeah, so from the 23rd, Tenkaichi Budokai, and I'm assuming then, yeah, this... Fighting the cast on his arms and legs? That's considered a fight? Okay, interesting. So yeah, this is obviously all of Dragon Ball Z, basically. You know, quote-unquote Dragon Ball Z, because it's technically all just Dragon Ball, but, you know, for the sake of explaining it. Goku versus the Punch Machine. That's funny. There are a lot of good things that we could definitely pick here. Ooh, Goku versus Oob, though. There's a lot of good stuff here, obviously, from Dragon Ball Z. I mean, there's so much Goku versus Frieza. You know what? I might actually pick Goku versus Oob, even though I know we technically got a figure of that recently. I'm going to pick Goku versus Oob, actually, just because I think that that's a good choice. Okay, so we have that one locked in. Let's see. Wow, there's 11 comments on this one. Interesting. Chose Kid Buu. Yeah, that's definitely not a bad choice. Oh, this is a Dragon Ball Super icon. I actually don't have an account on this website. I should definitely make one just to, like, have one. Anyway. Okay, so I think this one, they've then crammed all of Dragon Ball Super in here. Recap? What? They have the recap fight as an option? That's so weird. Okay. Goku versus Beerus. When they're training in the Room of Spirit and Time versus Frost versus Bergamo. Ooh, versus Zamasu. Okay, okay. I might pick versus Fusion Zamasu, because I kind of want it, bro. Could you imagine if they made the Goku Hakai as a figure? That would be insane. Versus Android 17, versus the Pride Troopers. Yeah, a lot of these are a lot less funny, because obviously DBS tends to take itself a little bit more seriously in terms of all these different fights. Versus Moro would also be a good one. Man, all of these different Moro fights, because there's so many cool panels that they could turn into figures for sure. Oh yeah, Broly. Interesting that they count Broly in here, even though technically, like, the Broly movie for the manga. Oh, well, hold on. I have to pick this one, because it has Gohan Beast. Yeah, we have to pick Goku versus Gohan at the end there. My other option would have been the one that I would have said before. Everyone vote Moro for manga merch. Yeah, honestly, it would be kind of crazy. That is a good point, honestly, that these comments make, that it would be crazy if they did have Moro win, because obviously then that would be like basically the first manga merch outside of the Toyotaro Ultra Instinct Goku. That would be kind of insane if that did end up winning. So either way, definitely go vote. Obviously, I will leave a link to this in the description below. Of course, we will not actually know the outcome to this for quite a while, right? We won't actually know the results of whatever wins for this. I mean, I don't even know if we'll know... I I think if I remember with the Piccolo one, they announced who won the poll a little while afterward, but obviously we didn't find out like where it was actually going to be put into an Ichiban Kuji until much, much later. Because obviously the Piccolo Ichiban Kuji, right? This one, right? The versus Omnibus. We only found out about this like what? At the end of last year, January of this year, right? So, you know, because remember this was the scene that won. So we may not even actually find out what the figure will look like until way later. But it will still be cool if we do end up finding out who actually won the poll sooner than later. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. I think that that will be pretty cool to see who actually ends up winning this. Because we could end up getting some under-commercialized, you know, characters and figures here. It will be interesting to see, too, because the weird thing about this is that they're not making figures, at least as far as they say, of each of the categories, right? It's from all four combined, whichever one has the most votes out of all four of the categories. Like, what's the point of even separating them then? I don't know. I guess it's just to do it, kind of do it by saga, sort of. I don't know. Sort of just a weird thing to do. Like, maybe they'll still just do some of the fights anyway and include them in Ichiban Kuji, or like I even know in like the Piccolo one here, right, for the versus Omnibus Amazing. Even though this was the only one that got made into a figure from the Piccolo votes, some of the other scenes from that vote did end up as smaller prizes. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. It's just a little bit strange that they're only doing one out of all four of these categories. But with that being said, that is all we have for official Dragon Ball news today. We only have a couple things to look at for third party. So let's go ahead and scoot through these, and then we will be done for the day. I think... yeah, so these were shipping now. I know some people pre-ordered these. Basically a custom cross-arm piece for the SH Figuarts Goku and Vegeta, the Super Saiyan 4s, which is pretty cool. I know that they did mention this on 5K, that this is apparently going to be something upcoming from the HM Studio, which is really, really interesting. I am wondering... that this obviously Burst ZG, this account and this man, we obviously look at his stuff all the time in these videos, and it is an interesting thing that he says here, right? Are you guys planning on long-term working relationships with these studios? You're just trying to get some of their latest projects over here to the States? Because yeah, I know we talk about a lot of third-party stuff, and half the time we don't even get it over here because there's just no really good way to get it. So this would be great if 5K decided to work with some of these companies and gave us some more of this stuff. But yeah, these are pretty cool looking though. And interestingly enough, I know this Vegito went up as something like, hey, what do you guys think of these head sculpts here? And so these actually did go up for pre-order here on 5K, right? You can see that you can order the Vegito Blue kit, the Super Vegito kit, and the base Vegito kit. Now, the only unfortunate thing about these is that, oh boy, the the price is a little bit expensive on these. So, interesting details on this, right? By the way, I do like all of these. I think the face sculpts, I don't know if I'd say that they're like super accurate to Vegito, but I still think that they're kind of cool. It's maybe not a thing for me, but I still think that they look all right. I do think that's interesting that obviously, right, like they're all the same except for the last one is what they changed there. And obviously, right, like this is cool with holding Buhan's head tail. This one, of course, being the crossed arm piece. And then this one being like this other smirking face. And of course, with this being like Vegito pulling his glove, which is a cool accessory, I will admit. So, apparently, if you get all three, you do get this bonus face, which is kind of interesting. And the other interesting thing with this, too, as you can see, compatible shown in each photo, each kit includes a set of pegs to fit SHF 3.0, 2.0, and Kong, which is honestly kind of crazy that these studios are including stuff like this now, where, you know, you can basically use these heads on any Vegito that you may have, right? Obviously, there isn't even a 3.0 Vegito yet, but if you wanted to use this on any 3.0 figure, you could. Obviously, Kong, right, the Super Saiyan 3 Vegitos, you could use it on that body, and then, of course, there is the Vegito from the 2.0 body. So it is really cool that they give you that customization, because obviously, when it comes to these custom head kits, right, you have to basically be like, all right, well, what do these work on? Do I have that very specific figure? Because obviously, otherwise, it's just not going to work on what you have, or you have to bootleg it a little bit and maybe put a little bit of, you know, like sticky tack there or something like that. This is an interesting question. Please tell me we don't have to peel and apply stickers on the faceplates. I don't think so. That doesn't seem like what it looks like. I don't know why that person has that idea. Interesting. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this on the actual website. This is a little bit of a kind of yikes on the price, though. Kinda. It's a little bit of a toss-up for me. As you can see, price $32 for each kit, and if you buy the combo, enjoy $6 extra discount for a final combo price of $90. So if you get them all, they're basically giving you $6 off, which is pretty cool. Find the pre-order link on the homepage of 5K on the pre-order section. So here's the thing, right? When it comes to the price of these, I have seen pre-orders. Well, I guess more like just the price, right? I've seen the price for stuff like this be around this price. Now keep in mind, it says 20 bucks here because obviously that's the deposit, right? When the actual full price is there, right, you can see that it says there each kit will be $32. Full price for each, yeah, so full price for the combo of all three with the bonus face is $90, right? Deposit is $20, and then the second payment is $70, right? If you decide to get them all, because you can see you can just buy the combo pack or you can buy them all individually, which is interesting that they don't actually show on each individual one that it comes with all three of these pegs, but they did mention on the Instagram, you know, like listing of this, that each kit includes a set of the pegs. So, you know, it's not like you're going to be up a creek without a paddle on that one. But yeah, so obviously that's why it says 20 bucks for this, and then of course it says 5 for like each of these individual ones, because obviously it's just a deposit that you're making. There isn't a description on these, unfortunately, but these are still pretty cool. I think the thing about these that's always a little bit of like a hit or miss is like, man, this does look really cool, I will admit, and this looks like something I'd be interested in, but I would really want to see what it actually looks like what the final printed one looks like, and not these like kind of 3D renders of this, basically, right? Because I think some of these faces look pretty good. Like, I actually like the third face from the left quite a bit there, and the smirking face as well. But like some of the grit teeth faces I'm not really a fan of, and like the eyes on some of them I feel like look a little bit weird, and some of the face proportions. But I think you could still get some good stuff out of this, and not to mention, right, I'm sure that with the hair, you could probably finagle even getting some other faces on there, stuff like that, because obviously when it comes to a lot of these Vegetos, for the ones that exist, right, there isn't really one that they've ever released that's been all three base, you know, blue and Super Saiyan, right? It's either been like, you know, blue and maybe there's a base form head in there. I don't even think, is there a base form head in the Premium Bandai Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta? I don't even remember, but like some of them came with like one base form head, whatever, you get the point. So it would be cool to have all these on hand just to be able to like take some pictures with different Vegito forms. But I just don't know if I'm the biggest fan of how the faces look exactly. I feel like there might be some better looking face kits out there, but I do think it's interesting, and I do really like, if anything, the compatibility options. That almost is something that makes me a little bit more inclined to get this, because it's something that I could actually use with a bunch of different figures that I'm going to get. And not to mention, I'm going to be getting all of the Kong Super Saiyan 3s, right, including the Vegetos, so that would be really cool to have the option, right, of being able to have a, you know, like Super Vegito head or a Vegito Blue head on there. I do think that that would be pretty cool. So I don't know, maybe I'll get these. Definitely gonna think about it. The only unfortunate thing is, okay, it does say the estimated release, so it's Q4 of 2024 to Q1 of next year. So either that basically means the end of this year or early next year is when these are going to be coming out. So let me know what you think of these. I'd definitely be curious. I know that it seems like that, you know, 30 bucks is kind of expensive for a custom head kit, but I have basically seen most custom head kits go for around that price, and not to mention, I have even paid more for a custom head kit that came with a lot less faces than this one does. That original Gohan Beast head kit from DL Custom, I think it only had like 3 or 4 faceplates, and obviously the Gohan Beast hair, and I definitely paid like 40 bucks for that. I've even seen some of these Rosé head kits that were kind of popping up around the time that the Master Rosé figures were coming out from Kong and from DF. And even those are around 30 bucks. I mean, even Tonson stuff, right? Like if we go to, let me pull it up here. from the Omni-May store. Omni-May store. If we look at Tonson's head kits, right, which obviously, you know, I've talked about Tonson, I swear, like a million times, basically. Yeah, even like this one, bro. Like, even the head kit, here's what I was talking about, right? For the DL Custom, you know, Goku Black, where they had, like, the Super Saiyan version of him, right, that you could get. I guess you are getting the same amount of heads, but here, like, they're even charging $42.99 for this, right? And granted, I guess you are technically getting two different things of hair, right? You are getting, I think those are the same faceplates that are on there, are they? No, some of those faceplates, yeah, you're getting a lot of faceplates for this. But obviously, it's still very expensive. I don't know if they even have the, yeah, here. Well, this is another thing that oh, this is the hand accessory. Where is the face plates? That's what I'm looking for. Here we go. So, like, here's an example, right? This is obviously the base form one. Tonson has the Super Saiyan one, and the Super Saiyan God one, and the Super Saiyan Blue Evolution one. But we'll just use the base form one as an example, right? It comes with all these different faces, right? And obviously, it also comes with the, like, base form head. But this is 35 bucks, and as you can see, right, obviously with this one, you know, these come with an extra accessory as well, right, besides the pegs. Oh, I didn't even see the pegs are there in the images. Okay, I didn't even see those there. But yeah, so I don't think that this is that outlandish of a price, to be honest with you. I feel like 30 bucks for a head kit that comes with a bunch of this stuff is not terrible. I know that seems kind of ridiculous because you can just get a over the counter price figure, right? Like, you know, the standard release SH Figuarts figures for like 35 bucks. So it seems a little bit silly to just pay for the head for that much. But if you have the body and you don't want to buy a whole nother figure, right? Or if it's something where, like, you feel like the value of, you know, all these different pieces you're getting would equate to the full body of the figure, you know, I don't know. You kind of have to do that mental math yourself. But I definitely think that these are honestly not that bad of a deal. I do think that these are pretty cool. I may actually have to cop these. We will see. It'll be very interesting to see. Oh, yeah, that is one thing that is a little bit unfortunate that I actually did notice about these now looking at them. If we go back to the 5K page, you can see that all of the earrings are yellow when obviously I forget, I'm mixing it up in my mind right now, whether Vegito Blue or Super Vegito has green, but I know one of them, right, has green and one of them has yellow when all of these have yellow at the moment. Actually, interesting, these are green here for this one head sculpt. That's a little bit weird. Well, either way, I guess you could always just paint that if you really wanted to, but regardless though, right, you get my point. Either way, moving on from these, the final thing that we have for third party is obviously, funny enough, we were taking a look at these Vegito head sculpts last time, which I think are actually the same because this, oops, not Gear 5 Luffy, hello funny man. I believe that these, because these were like the prototypes, right, this, is it not? It looks like slightly different, but I swear it could be the same. Very, very interesting, because the studio says that it is called OC Toys, and this one is from HMYR, so maybe it's just the same face, like, you know, the same expression, I guess you should say. But obviously it's a different studio, because these do look really good, and you can see they're also have them on the Kong body as well, interestingly enough. This was something that was very, very interesting. The Air X HMYR Ripped Gi accessory for this test model. This is pretty cool, although I will say you could just easily make an accessory like this. I know if you maybe wanted it to match the plastic, but this is literally something you could get a, you know, a blue shirt and an orange shirt and then rip them and glue them together and then put them in the figure's hand. You know what I mean? Like, it is cool, but I don't think it's like anything too crazy. So this was something else that I thought was really interesting. If you guys have heard the news, basically the Beast Deities aka Kong Studios Super Saiyan 3 figures, right, the Vegetos and the Gokus are getting a reissue, which I will actually be receiving the reissue for those very soon. I'll do a video on those for sure because I'm really excited to get those. And the interesting thing is they actually redid the face sculpts, because the original face sculpts I felt like were pretty good and honestly had a lot of charm. but I know that they could have been a little bit better and maybe a little bit more anime accurate, a lot of people felt like. So they actually did a basically like remake of them in the re-release of the figures. So looking at what Burst says here, here's a look at the Beast Deities, Kong Studios, Super Saiyan 3, Goku, and Vegito reissue. What do you think? The decals may not be the same when we get them though. Original poster on Zanyu, or I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce that. Please excuse if that's not the correct way to say that. Said they added their own decals last slide. I think the pre-orders sold out. Yeah, they definitely did. So very, very interesting. Yeah, I have seen these floating around for sure, where they've basically been given these new face sculpts compared to the old one. Let me see if I can actually find that. So I went through my Instagram likes and found some of the pictures that I knew I liked at some point to include in the video. So here's a picture of this particular faceplate on the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? Obviously this one being the reissue faceplate. If you're kind of like, well, what did the original look like? Here I have a bunch of the different faceplates for you that I'll show you real quick just so that you can get the, you know, like basically updated version in your mind. This is what the faceplates look like, right? I do think that they look really, really good, if I do say so myself. I don't know why the last picture is in black and white, but it'd be like that, right? So I do think that these do look pretty good. And then we do have a little bit of a comparison picture that I swear I've shown in a previous video, but either way, as you can see, right, this is the old faceplate. Now, we're not talking about the colors of the figure because the image, I don't know why the hair color looks like that, because the figure doesn't actually look like that in terms of the hair color. But obviously, we're looking at the sculpt here, right? And as you can see, the difference between the old sculpt and the new sculpt, yeah, I think it's pretty easy to tell that they definitely put a little bit of work into sculpting the new face to make it look a little bit better and a little bit more like Goku. To be honest, I actually don't even like dislike the old face. Maybe it's just because I was under the impression for so long that when I, you know, got like the second batch of the Kong figures, of the Kong Super Saiyan 3s, that was the face that I was gonna get. So I just basically like coped my way into finally liking the face, because to be honest with you, it's kind of grown on me over time, especially seeing it so much on Instagram and seeing people take pictures of it and stuff like that. But I digress. We also have the face here, as you can see, for the, you know, basically like smiling, smirking face. I don't think that either of these really are like too much better than each other, I guess. I think they're kind of a little bit about the same. They definitely do look a little bit different. It's interesting to see as well that they kind of remove the lines. You can see that there's a little bit of like lineage on the new one, right? Like above where Goku's eyebrows would be, but obviously it's just skin because it's Super Saiyan 3. And there's a lot more like, you know, darkened lines on that one. Even on the original face, you know, those lines are a lot more prominent above where his eyebrows would be on the original compared to the new one. It also kind of looks like the face sits a little bit better in the hair, to be honest with you, than it does on these old ones. So very, very interesting. I will be very curious to see what these actually look like in hand, because obviously you can always get pictures, but of course, you know, when you actually get to see it yourself, that's when you really, really get to decide, hey, you know, what are we cooking with here? So it'll be interesting. Again, I'll be getting all these figures in, I think in June is when they should be coming in. So I'll probably do a stream for all of them actually, and then do a video out of that. But I digress. Very, very cool. I am very excited to get these. Also, another little update on this. We talked about this in a previous video. We have new updates from the Re-Custom with their GT Super Saiyan Kid Goku, right? Sculpts and faceplates, as well as a new tease on their Ego Vegeta, huh? Oh, that's cool. That one's Super Saiyan 2 and that one's Super Saiyan 1. That's awesome. Yeah, this looks really good. The hair sculpt on that looks fantastic, if I do say so myself. Oh, Piccolo. Interesting. And, wait. Oh, as well as DL Customs giving us a tease of their Piccolo sculpts, which were teased in the previous year. Oh, okay. Oh, there's the Ego. Interesting. Okay. That is pretty cool. So, definitely make sure you're following all these people, right? Because obviously this is where you'll be able to get some of this stuff. Of course, DL Custom is who we looked at before for these custom head kits, right? Of the Goku Black and stuff like that, working on them, right? So let's see. Re-Custom is GT Goku, which, let's see. Where's the Re-Custom page? Did I not just open it? Oh, wait. Where did it go? Oh, we're back to Vegito again. Hold on. Go back to recustom. There we go. Yeah, so recustom, even though they don't have anything listed here, is the same thing, or is not the same thing as DL Custom, but they are obviously the ones who are making these Super Saiyan Goku head sculpts. It's going to be interesting to see if for this, these look really good so far with the modeling. If they actually do like a clear plastic version, or if this is just something for the sake of testing, that is very interesting. So, okay, so I guess that the Ego Vegeta is also from Recustom. It looks good so far. I mean, obviously, it's literally only 2 images, so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like when we get more of it. And then, obviously, this is from DL Custom with the Piccolo. These head sculpts look fantastic, if I do say so myself. They look really good. I love the shouting one and the smirking one there. That's pretty cool. Regardless, oh yeah, another preview. I forgot. This was also here for the DL Custom. You know, / Char. So this guy here, Char, is the one who does all of the DL custom stuff, you know, for basically anything that gets released from that. Obviously, you can see some of it is like just stuff that he does for fun with like modeling and whatnot. But obviously, he was the one who also did that Gohan Beast head sculpts before we had the official one. Pretty cool, though. But anyway, this is so far what we have for the Piccolo. This looks fantastic, if I do say so myself. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually have, like, a cloaked version, or I'm assuming, though, that these are just head sculpts, as far as I understand. Prior post, I got a new render tease, the last image at the DL Customs Piccolo sculpt. It wasn't the first time we saw this, though, back in October. This guy shared these prototype images. We hadn't heard anything since then, so I wasn't sure if they're still working on it, or if they'd even work on the teased base Gohan with glasses or the Super Saiyan 4 sculpts. So very interesting stuff that's all been teased. Yeah, I'm also following this guy too. But yeah, so very interesting. Hopefully these do come out, because these are pretty cool head sculpts for Piccolo. And there's so many good options for like SH Figuarts Piccolo figures at this point that there's a bunch of stuff that you could definitely go with. And I believe that that is actually it for third party. This is the Boy Gear 5, and this is the Dragon Star Super Baby 2. I actually need to go to my local GameStop to see if I can pick that figure up. But anyhow, that is going to do it for today's video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed. I am so excited for everything that we have coming up in the world of figures. Obviously, when it comes to Gohan, right, I am so excited to eventually get my hands on this figure, right? There's so much cool stuff that we have to look forward to, and the Goku vote is also going to be very interesting to see how this ends up playing out and what we actually get, because it would be really cool, honestly, if we ended up getting some DBS manga stuff, because obviously, you know, could you imagine if we got that? Or could you imagine if we got like Goku and Vegeta racing in the go-karts, bro? Oh man, that would be so fire. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what was your favorite figure out of today's video in the comment section below. And other than that, I will catch you in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.